All righty, Mr. Covington,
Hey,
Mr.
hey,
Greg,
hey.
or as we used to call you, Gregorus, Greg Covington, who is in the real estate business here in Virginia. And I have been knowing Greg for quite some time. We've had an extensive relationship going back to the days of banquet service. But I would like to have him come on and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about yourself, about being a mortgage or real estate. Mr. Greg Covington, take it away. Think you
Go ahead.
froze up on us there a little bit.
Yeah, I
You
lost your
froze.
voice. Actually, you froze.
Oh,
Okay, everybody
okay.
froze.
So
So,
we got you on. So Greg Covington, take it away.
hello, good evening, everybody. Giving honor to God this evening, and I'm excited to be here with my old buddy, Mr. Mayo. Uh, go back many, many, many years, uh, working in the hotel business together. Uh, so I managed hotels for over 30 years, and before I went into the real estate business, and I saw that there was a need in the African American community to learn about home ownership. I owned a home at age 25. I bought my first home, and I was working in the hotel business at that time. So and that's when I met John and quite a few other friends, and they all stay in touch. They all my employees always call me and check in on me. So I appreciate the camaraderie and the friendship that we built over those years of working together. And I was talking to a young lady yesterday that worked for me. And I told her, I said, I would put that staff up against any staff in America when it comes to service. And compared to what I see today out here, is it's horrible. But anyway, my story is, I got into the real estate business via a manager that worked for me. One of my managers left. He was actually one of my better managers, and he went into real estate. I invited him out for lunch to try to convince him to come back into the hotel business, and he convinced me to go into the real estate business. He showed me a couple of paychecks, and I was like, man, I'm in the wrong business. So I decided to start my own real estate, get my license, and become an independent real estate agent. So my job is to help people make good decisions. So one of the things we do, me and Ray Ward is my mortgage partner. He's a mortgage lender. John said he was a real estate broker, but he's actually a mortgage lender. So he's the guy that you would talk to before we get started. The first step is to go and talk with a lender. So Ray is on the team, part of Team Covington of Hampton Roads. And we start with Ray, and Ray give you to check your background, check your credit, check to make sure that you have money, and to be able to make a transaction work. So there's a lot of steps to becoming a homeowner. So one of the things that we do well is, I do a buyer's counseling before we take any buyers out to purchase a home. So people think buying a home is just finding a place to live, but it's really an investment. It's a long-term investment that everybody that should, and everybody who at this time can't should be trying to achieve that goal by saving money and building up your credit score so that you can become a homeowner and make that investment. Because that's what it is. Back when our parents brought homes, they bought homes and they died in them. Today, when people buy homes, they live in them. The average homeowner owns a home about 13.5 years, but some move a lot faster in 3 to 5 years, and then they go and buy another home. make money off the one that they had, or they keep it and turn it into an investment property, which is a rental property. So that's how you want to look at real estate today. So I don't want to keep going. I want to make sure I don't get ahead of you, John. So, but I see Ray popped up here with us, and but those are the first steps of becoming a homeowner. Finding the right real estate agent, somebody who's going to look out for your best interests. Finding a mortgage loan officer, somebody who's going to look out for your best interests and make sure that you make good decisions with your financing and making sure that you do things. And we have a program in place that if we can't get you qualified this time, we can pretty much tell you exactly what you need to do in order to become qualified to purchase a home. If you follow that plan, it has never failed us yet. If you follow the plan that Ray and myself put you on, we can pretty much guarantee you in the time frame that we say 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever that time frame is, if you follow the plan to the letter, that you will become a homeowner and within that time period. That right, Mr. Ray?
Just chime in for a minute.
Yes, sir.
I want to say hello, Ray. Thank you for joining us. And I apologize, too mixed up here, but Greg got us straight. Want to just chime in for a minute. I myself was a home buyer, and I had a good real estate agent, and we followed the plan, and it got us into the home that we really wanted and could afford. That was the biggest part of making sure we got what we needed, was being able to afford the home. I think a lot of times people see houses and they get excited and then they fall through because they can't afford the payment. But you know, a good real estate agent and a good broker will sit you down and explain the process, the steps, and make sure you follow those steps. So I'm in concurrence because like I said, when we bought our, me and Marlene, we went through that process and he explained it to us from step A all the way to step Z, keys to the property and walking through the door. So Ray, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little introduction into yourself, where you come from, how you got into this business, and what you do for your customers.
Sure. Well, just to piggyback on a little bit of what Greg was speaking on, navigating the intricate world of home financing takes a lot of demand and a knowledgeable and experienced guide. My name's Ray Ward. I've been in the mortgage business now for 26 years. Helped quite a bit of first-time home buyers and walked them through the process of from point A to point Z to from starting the process to purchasing a home. Whether you're buying a home, selling a home, refinancing, or constructing your dream home, again, you need a knowledgeable team there to help walk you through the process. Greg and I are here for you. We're here to give you the knowledge that you need. As Greg was saying, there's not always a time where a customer comes to me and they're not ready to go at this moment. We do have a system called the Credit Analyzer that can pretty much break their credit report down. If there's some potential for them to increase their score, it kind of gives us a roadmap for them to get there. In terms of, again, I've been in the mortgage business now for 26 years. I'm originally from Albany, New York, and I've been in the Virginia area since 1997. I got into the mortgage business, been in the mortgage business since 1998. So out of college in 97, in the mortgage business in 98, and I've been doing it ever since. I just love walking folks down the path of home ownership. And you mentioned, folks are getting scary about not being able to afford a mortgage payment. Well, when you think about it, you have to pay to live somewhere, right? Yes. And you could pay rent you can pay a mortgage, right? Because it's the same thing. If you're paying $1,500 a month in rent and you can afford $1,500 a month, then we need to tell you exactly what a $1,500 a month mortgage gets you. You know what I mean? And what we have to start really pinpointing is the fact that when you're paying rent, that's just money going out of the window. You know,
you're somebody's mortgage.
Whether you're paying rent or you're paying a mortgage, you're paying somebody's mortgage, if that makes sense at all. But when you have a mortgage, it's your legacy that you're building on. So that's one thing that we need to focus on there. Two, when you're paying rent, again, that's money going out of the door, right? As opposed to when you have a mortgage, every time you make a payment towards that mortgage, a portion of that payment goes towards the principal and a portion goes towards the interest, which is paying that mortgage down, right? You own that home for 5 years, and every time every year that home is appreciating in value. Right now, we're looking at maybe a 5 to 6% increase in appreciation each year, which means that once that house appreciates in value, the difference between what that house is worth and what you owe is your equity. And that's money that you could take to, either refinance, to do some home improvements, pay off some debt, or sell that house and move up to a bigger house. That's not something that you can do when you're renting. I saw a post on Facebook that kind of blew my mind. And, I do a rent versus buy calculator all the time, when I'm speaking with my clients. And I always go on the low end. If you're paying $1,000 a month in rent over 3 years, that's $36,000 that you paid out. Over 5 years, that's $60,000 that you paid out. Well, somebody posted, if you pay $2,500 a month in rent, which is between $2,000 and $2,500, that's the going rent these days. In this particular area, you pay $2,500 a month in rent. After 3 years, that's $90,000 that you paid out. $90,000, and so
it hasn't earned you anything.
Hasn't earned you anything at all. Not to mention the tax benefits. The interest that you pay on the mortgage is tax deductible. So what that means is once it's time to file your taxes, the more deductions you have, the more money you get back in terms of a tax refund. So I think we need to really start paying attention to those points as a people, so that we could start moving in the terms of gaining in terms of home equity and so forth and so on.
So it's wealth. It's building wealth.
Exactly.
It's as you earn equity, and this is the thing that we have to do, is to build wealth in our community. And instead of everybody else buying the homes up in our community, I heard a comedian say, I can't think of his name, but he has built his whole community where he grew up out in California. It was straight hood. He's invested and built one home at a time to turn the community around. And he's placed people that was in the homes back in the homes. Instead of them paying rent, they purchased the home from him. He set a program up where they could buy the home from him. But one thing he said that stuck out to me, he said, in our community, when these homes started dilapidating, we turned them to crack houses and drug houses. And the other folks came in, purchased those houses, rehabbed them, invested in them, and made money off of them. We got to take that back. We got to turn that around and start buying houses up in our own community and fixing them up. Like Race mentioned, equity. You could take that equity and go invest it into another house that you can fix up and sell to somebody and make $25,000 to $100,000 off of it yourself, but also give one of us home ownership. So it's a
So
way
it's
that
a
we can build
two-pronged
wealth.
type of
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's
And
a
the way I look
two-pronged
at it
situation.
is,
Go ahead.
I was just saying, the way I look at it is, assets versus liabilities, right? When you're paying rent, that's a liability. When you're paying a mortgage, that's an asset. So that's something that we need to start thinking about. We need to start really investing in assets as opposed to liabilities. It kills me when I have a customer call me and they want to get into purchasing a home, and I pull their credit report, and they've got $1,000 car payment, right? $1,000 car payment, and you're riding around that car in that car every day, and you're feeling good about riding around in that car every day, and you went and you spent $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on the car. Well, here's the thing: as soon as you drive that car off the lot, that car loses value, right?
Which John knows very well.
That car loses value, as opposed to when you go back the last 80 years, right? 80 years, 76 of those years, homes have appreciated in value. Homes have appreciated in value 76 of those years. There's been 4 years where homes have decreased in value, right? And then there's been 2 years where it's been stagnant. It's been pretty much a balance. And those years where there was a decrease was between 2007 and 2011. So when you look at that record, 76, 4, and 2, I mean, those are odds I take any day. And for most of us that have been paying attention to home prices since the pandemic started, look at how much home prices have rose. If you bought a home in 2019, your home is pretty much appreciated maybe 50% in value.
Yes.
You can't do
I
that.
can attest to that. I can attest to that. We bought our home about 4 years ago, and right now I think the last estimate on our house, we were at roughly $100,000 in equity. So I want to say this, that as an African American, we need to increase our net worth. And a home ownership is a great way to increase your net worth, because we're all worth something, but we have to show we're worth something. We can have money in the bank. We can have money stuffed under the pillow, but it doesn't count towards your net worth. So home ownership is an excellent way to increase your net worth. Now, I want to ask one other question. I also work for the Veterans Administration. So I get veterans who are constantly calling me and asking me about how do we apply for VA home loans and things of this nature. In your office, do you work with VA home loans, and how do you process those types of things?
Hampton Roads, brother. Hampton Roads.
Yeah, because we're in a Navy community, bro.
Look, being in Hampton Roads, you cannot be in the Hampton Roads area and not offer VA financing.
Correct.
So we work hand in hand with veterans, and a lot of the lenders here in the area won't tell you through the Virginia Housing Program. There's a great program for veterans, even though you're already getting 100% financing through the Virginia Housing Program. As long as if they're under a certain income range, they'll get 2% in free money to help them pay their closing costs.
Pay for their closing costs.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I do know that I'll explain to you why. Today I was at my buddy Carlton's church and got to talking about home ownership, and one of the guys said, "Hey man, I need help with a VA loan." And I said, "Well, listen to the program tonight, and we're going to discuss part of that with the gentleman that we have on the program." So I sent him the link. I hope he's listening. And so hopefully he'll be able to get in touch with you guys. So we'll make sure at the end of the program, you will tell us how to contact you for assistance.
Absolutely.
And simply because, Greg, like I said, you and I go back many years. And
Yes.
you just mentioned the
30
car
plus
business.
years, Judge.
I sold cars for many years. I know about do not appreciate and how value, and they don't add to your net worth. So we need to invest more in our net worth than any other thing in there. So people that are out there renting, you're just giving your money away. That's all you're doing is making someone else rich when you can be adding to your own net worth. And it is important that at some point in time in our lives that we realize that and jump on the bandwagon to own your own home. So,
yes. And this is the right time.
I have one question to ask of you, Ray. I'm sorry.
I said, and this is the time to do it. The media.
I have a question to ask of you, Ray.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead. You froze, John.
You froze. But it's okay.
Ask your question again.
Repeat what you just said.
What I just said?
So, saying, how do we get a hold of you? It would give us some contact information so people listening will be able to reach out to you.
Is there a place that if we type it in this chat, can they see it, or can you make it visible to them? Is there a way to do that?
I can type it in the chat.
I'm with Schaefer Realty as a real estate agent. Schaefer Realty is my brokerage that I work, that hang my license. And we're located here in Virginia Beach. My phone number is 757-739-8780. That's 757-739-8780. And you can call me and I'll be glad to chat with you and point you in the right direction to see how we can help you. And don't let them, I want to say this, don't let the media scare you out there, because there's a lot of bad media about rates. Yeah, rates are higher than they were some years ago at 3% and 4%, but that was just unusual. 7%, 6% rates is normal. When I bought my first house, I paid 9.5% interest rate. I refinanced at a 7.5% interest rate, which I thought was great during that time. So don't get caught up in the rate. We always say, marry the house and date the rate, because you can when the rate change, you can get rid of that date. Right? You find the house, you marry it, and when the rate change, you go get a new rate. So, so marry the house, and date the rate. Okay? So just reach out and I'll be glad to help you. The agent who knows Hampton Roads.
And my name is Ray Ward.
That sounds like a commercial.
Yeah. For your leading source on real estate in Hampton Roads, call the agent who knows Hampton Roads.
Ray, if you wouldn't mind giving us your information, or let me ask this question. Is it best to contact you through Greg, or can we contact you individually?
Either way, Greg and I, we work hand in hand. So if you contact Greg, Greg will get them over to me and vice versa. But my name is Ray Ward, and I'm a senior loan officer with Tidewater Mortgage. My contact information is 757-270-7197. Again, that's 757-270-7197. My email address is rward@twmortgage.com. So rward@twmortgage.com.
And I want to just ask Mr. Covington one last thing. Repeat that information about mortgage rates, because that has been a topic of discussion. People think mortgage rates are high. Yes. And I was telling someone today, I said, that's a norm. It's been higher than that. And so if you wouldn't mind repeating that information about the media and making them scare people away from buying houses because they think the mortgage rate's high.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I can repeat that. So as I said, the media is pushing this hype about the rates being high because they're not at the 3% and 4% that they were just a couple of years ago. But those rates came down because the economy was in trouble and we needed to save the economy. That's the only reason why those rates got down to 2.5%, 3%, 4%. But the normal rate is 7%. As I said, when I purchased my first home at age 25, the rate was 9.5%. I refinanced it at 7.5%. So I married the house and I dated the rate. So as soon as the rate went down, now just before I bought my house, mind you, the rate was 13% when I started looking for my house. But that's the only rate I knew. So when it came down to 9.5%, I thought, oh my God, this is unbelievable, 9.5%. And that's what's happening today. It's been 3% and 4%. And their friends will tell, girl, I ain't paid but 2.5%. I got 2.5% rate. Why would you want to pay 7.5%? I will wait. Well, don't wait, because if you notice, I don't know if anybody's noticed out there, but housing prices is not going down. House prices are going up.
I'd like to add to that when you get a chance.
Go ahead, Ray.
We have a lot of folks, especially with the media, that they're quoting these rent versus buy calculators. And I started off by saying earlier today, you have to look past the rent versus buy calculator because that only shows the difference between a mortgage payment and the rental payment. But there's so many other things that come into play. I remember, or I can recall back in the beginning of 2022 when housing prices started to increase.
Yes.
And the rate started to increase at the same time. And I had quite a few people that decided to hold off, and they wanted to, hold off because they thought at some point rates were going to come down and the housing prices were going to come down. Well, they sat on the sideline and they saw that housing prices continued to increase, right? And at that point, they decided to jump back in the market. Well, if you were one that were looking at a $400,000 house at the beginning of January of 2022, that same house today is $450,000.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
$450,000. So what you have to start to look at is I could have bought that same house at $400,000, and if I would have put 10% down, my down payment would be $40,000. All right. Now, that same 10% is $45,000, and you missed the equity upswing. You could have got in there at $400,000, and at this point, on paper, made $50,000. Right. On top of that, at the same time, as we spoke about before, every time you make a payment, a portion of that payment goes towards the principal, a portion goes towards the interest. It means that you're steadily building more equity on top of that $50,000, right? On top of that, when you go to file your taxes, whatever interest you pay, you get to write that off on your tax. So now you're getting more money back in your tax return, right? The real estate taxes, you get to write that off. Helps you get more money back in your tax return, right? And on top of that, how good do you look when you go to a bank and you want to take out a loan, and now you have collateral, right? Now you have collateral because you have that equity sitting there. Greg talked about, or I would say, look at yourself. When you first bought your home, how much did you buy your house for again?
John?
Me?
John?
Yes.
John?
I paid $333,000 for it.
And how
Right
much you
now
think
it's worth $450,000.
$450,000. Okay. So now you have something called equity. So now you can go to the bank and say, hey, I bought my house for X amount. It's now worth X amount. I want to look at getting an equity line of credit, right? and now you can take that equity line of credit, and now you have a down payment for 1 or 2 rental properties. So now you have that equity line. You're using that equity line to purchase your rental properties. You're putting a renter in there, so
That's
now
right.
you're covering the payment, and the difference between what they're paying and what you pay in the mortgage is now money that goes into your bank account.
Residual income.
Exactly.
What he just
Exactly.
created.
Income.
Residual income.
And
that's what
that
this is all
increases
about.
and that increases your net worth again. And that is the thing that I think most people don't understand is how it increases your net worth. And so yes, it's a great way to build wealth, and it doesn't take a whole lot to begin. So it is one of those things that we just need to keep educating our African American friends on, simply because the more we get that word out there to them, and I live in Utah. Home prices have gone crazy in Utah.
Everywhere.
And so I just like all over the country. But at this point in time, my net worth has gone through the roof too.
Another thing I wanted to add, John, is right now, 39% of the buyers are cite that they're waiting for lower interest rates as their first or second barrier to purchasing a home. One thing you guys have to think about is a 7% plus rate right now is a buyer's best friend, mainly because for every 1% drop in interest rate, that's going to bring 5 million more eligible buyers to the market, which means that tighter inventory becomes tighter, which leads to fewer choices, right?
Right.
And it also leads to upward pricing pressure. And that's why home prices are continuing to be more, because there's not that much out there on the market for sale.
Well, look, guys, I want to thank you, Greg and Ray Ward, Greg Covington, Ray Ward. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you guys on the show this evening. And we got your information. So I want to say this. I sent Greg the link to the program. And once in about a week or so, I will get what we call a clip champ from Kenneth. And I will send you a copy of this for you to forward to anyone that you may want to forward it to, if you want to put it on your Facebook page or, whatever you would like to do with it, as this is a good topic. Now, one other thing I want to say before we go is that I've been asked to send a copy of this to the church that I was just at, and with your information, and they may want to reach out to you when they do their home buyers seminars. So I just need to get an okay saying that that's okay for us to do that.
That's absolutely okay. We would love to come in, or they can use the recording, but it'd be even better if we was able to come in and talk to them like we talked about. But John, before we get off real quick, I just want to say real quick, we are having a community event to help women that are running from violence and they're escaping violence. At the Samaritan House in Virginia Beach, we're collecting purses or pocketbooks, and we're asking people to fill those pocketbooks with items of value to help females, hygiene items, lotion, soap, toothpaste, female hygiene. And we also ask them to put a note card, Mother's Day card, or just a card, a word of encouragement in that purse. And we're going to be at the Samaritan House on Saturday, May 4th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. collecting those purses. And if you're not available to get there that day, the Samaritan House are taking purses right now. Phil, we did this last year. We collected 100 purses last year, and we're on track to beat that right now. Ray went out today and collected about 50 purses. He got his truck full of purses. So we're excited about it. Join us, please.
Hey, Ray, was
Samaritan House, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
All from your wife? Because I know how most women are.
No, actually, I had some family from Durham, North Carolina, they came together
Pleasure.
and sent some persons in, have some family from
To
Albany, New
Williams
York, have some family from Charlotte, North Carolina, and then here in Virginia. So all a concerted effort for a great cause.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank y'all so much. I enjoyed it.